Welcome everybody to the last spoilerific video about Star Wars ever in the history of mankind until the year 1900,000. We will never have another Star Wars movie again. Everybody knows that. And today we are talking about the last chapter of the Skywalker saga. And I am not doing it alone. I have this is three very special friends with me. And there's going to be two people on the side that they like this film. One of them is yours truly. The other one is Zach Pope. How are you, my friend?
I'm great. I'm happy to be collabing on Star Wars again, and I'm wearing my Christmas Death Star shirt for this special event because I'm going to defend this movie. I have issues, but I'm going to defend it. It's Star Wars. Why can't we just all be happy that we have Star Wars content? Anything Star Wars can be just good Star Wars if you take it for what it is. There's not a perfect Star Wars movie out there besides Empire Strikes Back.
Return to
No. But that's a whole different conversation for another time. But I'm glad to be here, Rents. Thanks for having me.
And on the side that they didn't like this film, along with many other people, and we're still going to debate it in a very civilized manner, I am sure. We have, first of all, coming in all the way from Malta, please welcome Ashley Peschel. How are you, my friend?
Fine, thanks. I'm cool. Okay. Got a bit of a cough, but I'm drugged up, so that's okay. Thanks for having me. Talk about the best film in the Star Wars saga.
And last but certainly not least, also on the side that they didn't like it, the man who has been on a personal quest to find the wayfinders to Exegol himself.
Oh gosh.
Has been please welcome Cody Curtis.
Hey everybody! It's been a little while. I'm really happy to be back. It's been a little while, a hot minute since I've actually been on YouTube, but I'm glad to be back. And to be clear, did I like the movie? No. But do I hate the movie? No. Do I like some parts of the movie? Yes. But I'm excited for us to just get started. And I'm going to tilt my... There we go. Much better.
All right. So one more time, just to be perfectly clear for everyone watching it, this will have spoilers for the Rise of Skywalker. So unless you don't give a shit about spoilers, or you've already seen the movie twice, like me, Zach, and Ash have seen it. How many times have you seen it, Cody?
Once.
Once. Okay. Cody has seen it once. So again, spoilers. We will spoil the shit out of this film. So let's start. First of all, what do we think of Palpatine's inclusion? Why don't you start us off, Zach?
Okay, so here's the thing. Does it feel a little bit like, oh, how did this old man come back to life? Yes, but at the same time, I might be in the minority on this because I kind of just looked at it. I'm like, okay, so I'm probably gonna find out about that more in a book or something. Probably. I look at it as I'm very vested in the comics, the books, the legends, all that type of stuff. And maybe they're taking into it. The way I took it as that Palpatine, the way he survived is he took his soul and put it into a clone body of his. That's how I took it. Do they directly say that? They kind of mention some stuff with cloning, so I took it as that. Could they have gone a little bit better in the detail? Absolutely. They could have 100% gone better into detail. Does it feel like Disney said, shit, we don't have a villain anymore? Let's do this. Kinda, yeah. But my biggest issue with the movie, and I'll just say it right here, is it felt rushed. The pacing was so fast, it hit the ground running and just never stopped, except for one moment in particular with Kylo Ren, which I'm sure we'll talk about. But it just kept going and going and going and going and going, and that's my only issue with the movie, is that it's just so fast-paced that when they give you a reveal, like Palpatine coming back, you're like, wait, can we go back? Like, can we reverse, turn back around, go back and talk about that for a second? And I think this film has such priorities of going about all the people who complained about The Last Jedi so much and saying, hey, we gotta course correct this whole thing, which in reality the smart thing should have been to let's just take the story and go with what we have. Because if they were going to use Palpatine should have been at the end of Last Jedi. He should have been hinted at right at the end of Last Jedi, and that's where it should have been about. But it wasn't. And the first 10 minutes of this movie is pretty much saying, this is what Last Jedi we wanted it to be about, but it's not. So we're gonna segue all into this. And again, I wasn't like pissed that he was back. I just felt like he wasn't a big enough presence in this movie, and he was really just there to have an antagonist, which we've learned that in movies your antagonist doesn't have to be a person. Like, it doesn't have to be a person. It can be a world. It could be the conflict between Kylo Ren. In a sense, honestly, you could have just made Richard E. Grant be the main villain of this whole movie. You could have made somehow that he just takes over the First Order, and that's, even if you're, no matter what, I fully believe they were always going to redeem Kylo Ren, but I feel like you could have just made him the main villain. You could have always done something in that aspect. So I didn't mind Palpatine being back. Should they have dressed it a little bit better? Yeah. Does it feel a little bit forced? Yes, but it was cool seeing Ian McDermott back. That's what it is. So yeah.
Ash?
Like Zach said, honestly, Palpatine came back because Snoke died. That's why. Basically, Ryan Johnson, and I'm not I mentioned this, I'm not a Last Jedi hater, but he basically screwed the villain up. They needed a villain, and that's it. And I hate that it wasn't even explained. Okay, it was hinted at, but straight away from on the crawl, you say Palpatine's voices have returned. Like, shouldn't they just left that a bit until like 10 minutes into the movie or something? Not straight away. Oops, on the crawl. What? You're reading again, and what the hell already? I thought it was going to be like a tease, slowly build up to Palpatine coming back, not straight away on the crawl. We've got Palpatine has returned, and then as I said, as Zach said, and I believe he's a clone, definitely a clone, because he isn't the same body as he was in the Return of the Jedi. But they didn't give it that much explanation. Now I've heard that there's going to be a book. I've seen it today. There's an expanded edition of the Rise of Skywalker. The book is going to be expanded with all the stuff which was obviously cut. So, but you might as well have included it in the film. At least a bit more explanation to why. And for me, it's basically there because Johnson screwed up. He didn't want, as Zach said, he needed to be teased, even if it was in the Force Awakens or the Last Jedi. We needed like hints that Palpatine is behind it all, not just boom.
Mm-hmm. And I want to add something to that. I think with this movie, honestly the biggest issue that comes around this whole trilogy is that it was not planned. That's the only big problem that I have with this whole trilogy, is that it just wasn't planned. And it's like JJ had his plan, and then Ryan had his plan, and then even if you go and look what Colin Trevorrow wanted to use Snoke and Luke. That's why he left, because he wanted to use both of them, and they both died. And you know what? I'm in the camp that I love a lot of aspects in Last Jedi. I love a lot of it, and all of it is everything they did with Kylo, Rey, and Luke, and even what they did with Snoke. Killing off Snoke was fine to me. Yep. I think they didn't want to go risky with Star Wars. And after Last Jedi, which it sucks because a majority of the people who shit on Last Jedi, like really shit on Last Jedi, are just trolls. That's just true. If you talk to the majority of people who are not the biggest Star Wars fans, they loved it. I know so many people who aren't that big in the Star Wars, and that's the movie that actually got them into Star Wars, was Last Jedi, which is shocking to me, but it did. But when I don't know. I think Last Jedi makes you look at Star Wars a lot differently, and I personally would have rather had something that made me look at Star Wars a little bit differently. And again, I'm very positive on this movie, but I get issues with the movie. I feel like the hardest thing is we're gonna complain about this movie, but at the same time we can't, because it's Star Wars. It's whatever, I'm just I hate the fan base for this movie.
Yeah, no, the fan base is what gives Star Wars a bad name. It's just, you say, oh, you like Star Wars, oh, you're one of those people who complain about everything. No, but I agree with Zach. It wasn't planned. You look at the Marvel movies. I know you're not supposed to compare and stuff like that, but they have a plan. They have a direction. Everyone knows what's going to go on. Here, no, it's like everyone did their own stuff, and it's, you can't build a trilogy like that. Even the prequels, as bad as they are for me, they had a story. They had a direction. Everyone, they continued on. Here, no, it's just anyway.
Cody?
Yeah, you guys hit on a lot of the points that I was going to say. I think the biggest problem with Rise of Skywalker for me is, as you guys said, I think it's suffering a little bit or a lot of bit from Game of Thrones final season syndrome, to where everything in the Rise of Skywalker, I thought there were a lot of really really great concepts. And I look, when it comes to Palpatine, it gave me some of my favorite moments in the movie, and I thought the return of Palpatine could have worked, but it just feels like a lot of course correction happened. It's like we lost Snoke, so J.J. Abrams brought in Palpatine because with everything that happened in Last Jedi, no matter what you say, whether it be that you loved the movie, that you hated the movie, it's obvious that Rian Johnson didn't really like a lot of the concepts that J.J. Abrams came up with, so he just threw them out the window, essentially. And so what J.J. Abrams did is when he came back, there was, because of that contradiction that Force Awakens and Last Jedi had, there was a lot of course correction that needed to happen. And with Palpatine, although I didn't mind the fact that he was brought back in, I didn't like the fact that it felt like he was just brought back in because Disney didn't have a plan, because Snoke died, and that they were just trying to fix everything that happened in Last Jedi. So while I did enjoy some of the major aspects that happened with Palpatine and the ending of Rise of Skywalker, I mean, it's just a whole cluster of a mess that Disney is trying to. Yeah, it just feels rust. Ultimately, I think all of us are in agreement that while bringing Palpatine back, while it ultimately is a really really good concept and a great idea, the fact is his return didn't feel earned the way it should have.
Okay, I'm going to, again, like Cody said it himself, going to hit, again, a lot of the same points you guys did up until now. But I'm also going to say that to me, Palpatine really worked. As Zach said it himself, there are actually a lot of hints, a lot of seeds planted, especially in The Force Awakens. Not so much The Last Jedi as much as I love it, but there are a lot of seeds in The Force Awakens where you can read them in the way that this is a Palpatine thing to do. And when he reveals that he created Snoke, and he does the voices of him and Darth Vader, I like that was him all along playing with the mind of Kylo Ren. That he used, first of all, a person he admired and a person who he felt love for in the first place, and then eventually went to Snoke and whatnot. So, and in the whole, a lot of the questions that are raised because of the addition of Palpatine is, oh, I thought Rey was a nobody, and that was what made her such a great character and so relatable. But I think she can be both things. I at least bought the movie's explanation when Kylo tells her, your parents were nobodies because they chose to be. So I think she can be the descendant of someone important, but still be a nobody. I don't know, because to me the very fact that he isn't like her father really works on that front. My one question, though, and the one big problem on the surface that I have with Palpatine's return and with him, exactly. It's not who did he fuck, it's who fucked him. Who won? To the timeline, he already looked all wrinkly and decrepit when that happened. So he was like, "Oh yes, baby, come here."
Well, I mean, he was the ruler. He was the ruler of the galaxy. I mean, he had power. So
here's the thing. I don't think he directly fucked them. Like Palpatine did not get it. He did. Let's be honest. We saw those fingers of his. His dick shriveled too. Like his dick gone. So here's the thing about it. All right.
Thank you, Mace Windu.
I 100% believe, because in a comic, he created Anakin inside that woman. His mother, he created it. Who says he just didn't do the same thing with another girl? He has all these. He has all these cult members that are following him, right? They don't really explain, but who says one of them says, I'll give birth to your son? You know what I mean? And then his son had a good change of heart. You know? Like that's how I'm taking it. Again, that's outside baseball park. If you don't read anything, you're not going to think about it. You're just going to be thinking about, who did this old man have sex with? Actually, who fucked this old man? I can get Han, Luke, even Chewbacca. But who the fuck
Lando.
fucked that thing?
You could have Lando, the biggest playboy in the galaxy, and he'd go to Palpatine.
Yeah.
It's one of those occasions where you say there's not enough money in the galaxy.
No.
Okay, moving on from the Palpatine subject, which I'm sure we'll get back to at a certain point. Let's talk about a realistically sensitive issue, one I'm sure we all feel emotional attachment to, and that is the way they used Leia. And Ash, why don't we start off with you?
Now, I felt they used her really well for what they had, what the film, what they had already filmed and everything that they used her well. They respected her, and of all my complaints with this film, and that Leia was not one of it. I really liked how they used her. I like how they sent her off. I liked everything, her connection with Ben and all that, and like they used it because obviously they had, they didn't have any more, so they had to create something, and I felt it was used well. I liked her, and even the special effects in that, you can hardly tell that she's being, put in different places and all that. So I felt it was well, and I liked how they used her. I also like the backstory that when she was young, she was a Jedi, training and all that. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah.
I actually really liked that bit. I thought that was cool. It was surprising, but it was cool.
All right, Cody, go ahead.
Well, I disagree with Peschel on this one. Well, not the Leia, like the Leia Jedi backstory thing. Look, I'll get back to that in a second, but I agree with Peschel on the scenes that they implemented of Carrie Fisher into Rise of Skywalker. Out of all of the things that I have wrong with the film, how they implemented the scenes was not one of them. I thought with what they had, they did the best that they could, and ultimately I thought it came across the best that it could have done. So, and I just gotta applaud the entire team for choosing the scenes that they did, because it made it kind of a seamless transition from scene to scene with, and how she was used up until the point when Ben gets stabbed, like the whole thing from the beginning of the movie to Leia's death. I thought everything was kudos to them on that.
Zach?
I think you're disrespectful if you shit on any way that they used her. I saw some reviews saying how, oh, she's like a video game non-player controlled, and I'm just like, what did you expect for them to do? You know what I mean? Like, they did the best that they could, and honestly, I thought she was the soul and heart of this movie. That's the honest truth, and the way that they used Leia, and the way that they talked about her, and everything they did. And obviously, 20 years from now, when a kid watches this movie, they're not going to think, oh, why is she not talking about? They're not even going to know she died, most likely, in real life. Yeah. And, tragically, she passed away, and it's very sad, because I know they said that she had a major line in here, a major scene that was going to be with Kylo Ren, which I'm sure we all know who filled in for that role, which I'm sure we'll get to. But definitely, I thought they used it great. And I loved it. She was easily one of my favorite parts of the whole movie, in the way that they used her. And again, it was seamless. That was movie magic, the way that they got her into there, and the way that they used the visual effects. I mean, honestly, the visual effects alone should just be nominated for an Oscar because of what they did with her. Like, that was movie magic. We've never seen something like that. They always very overly CGI the Paul Walker stuff to any other actor who's ever passed away, in the way. I mean, even what's the Rogue One? Who's the Rogue?
Peter Cushing.
Yeah.
Peter Cushing.
Yeah.
That was, and we could have easily gotten something like that. They could have gone that route. Some people find it disrespectful. I'm not in the camp that I find it disrespectful. If you're gonna use the character in some way, then do it. I liked what they did, and then of course the Force training and stuff. I mean, they've always talked about that Leia was going to eventually get a lightsaber, and that this was the movie she was going to get it in. Would have loved to have seen that, but but this is the way to do it. They showed it in that way, and I thought it was just a great tribute to Carrie Fisher and what she brought to the role.
Yeah, I'm going to start with the aspect of what you said about being seamless, because from the first moment she's on screen, I was looking for for the glitch, you know?
Yeah.
Because I knew that she passed away before the movie was even shot, and I was like, holy shit, it's amazing. I couldn't tell the difference, and I was watching it with a friend. Like he knew she passed away, but he had no idea she passed away even before the movie was actually shot. And so when I told him afterwards, he was like, "What? I thought she died after the movie was shot," and he was shocked as well. In terms of the story, they use her in such a great way. Leia and the use of Leia in this story is one of the few aspects I love in this film. Because I don't love the Rise of Skywalker. I like the Rise of Skywalker, but Leia is one of the few things that I do love, and she's used in such a way that I don't feel the story was compromised much. I think we have to say that it is compromised, and but that's not necessarily a bad thing. But the way they used her, apart from that one scene where she obviously got a replacement and a very fitting replacement, if you ask me, um, the story could not have changed a lot, because if this was a story that JJ always had in mind, how different could it be had Carrie Fisher not passed away in real life? It couldn't have been a lot different. There is another scene where she should have been, but I will leave that to when we get to it. Right up next, let's go into where should we go next? What do you think? What do you say, guys?
Let's talk about the spy reveal in the movie.
The spy reveal, the most obvious reveal of all time. Why don't you start us off, Cody?
Oh frick! How much do I hate this part of the movie?
Uh-oh.
Honestly, this little part of the movie is. Oh, I'm going to see Uncut Gems this Thursday, and I'm so excited. But we're not talking about Uncut Gems. We're talking about Star Wars. Look, do I think Hux being the spy could? Jesus, bro. So, do I think Hux being the spy could work? Yes, I ultimately do think it could have worked, but once again, I think it's one of those things where it was just too rushed. It's one of those things where I watch this scene and I think back of everything where ultimately Hux was only in 3 scenes of the movie in its entirety. And if I'm going to be perfectly clear, it felt like the writers got our beloved characters in a situation where they could not get them out of. And so how do they get them out of it? Let's make Hux the spy. You know, it's one of those things where it very much like with Palpatine, if we had been hinted to right at the very beginning that Hux was the spy or that the First Order had a spy inside of its ranks, I would have bought it. But it just feels so rushed. It feels like the writers didn't know what they were up to, and they got the characters in a situation that they couldn't get out of. So they had to create a situation that makes no sense to get them out of it. So that's my thoughts on the matter.
I want to dive into this because Cody, I'm here to tell you that you are not wrong. This is the one thing that I had an issue with. I actually thought it built into it quite nicely. Like, I mean, it was obvious. Honestly, I was thinking it's either him or Richard E. Grant.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
yeah,
It's gonna be one of the two. The only issue I have with this is what his motivations were to do it. I just want Kylo Ren to lose. I rolled my eyes. Stop that. We don't need that type of stuff in there, and I think a lot of that goes back into that whole play of why do we have, if he's gonna be the spy, like we kind of see that at the end of Last Jedi when he pulls the gun out when Kylo's on the ground. So, you know, in that department, he could have been there to kill him. But I just didn't like how they had it. I just want him to lose. It could have been, hey, I had a change of heart. Go off and do your thing. That would have been a typical spy thing, you know, that we've seen in Star Wars Rebels.
Yeah.
We've seen through all the Star Wars. But just the fact that they had the line of, I just want Kylo Ren to lose, is that's the dumbest thing I've ever seen. And that was honestly the biggest. I had 2 big eye rolls in this movie. That's one of them. We'll talk about another one soon.
We'll get to the other.
Yeah, no. Honestly, Yeah, and to add on top of that, it's like I said, I don't 100% hate the facts that Hux was the spy, but I just think it feels, from the dialogue that he had right before he died to how Hux was portrayed in the entirety of the movie, it feels way too rushed. That's all I can say. I mean, I think we've established that we all feel that the movie, the way it was written and everything, it feels very, very rushed, and I think Hux is just another element to that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just it's one of the, as Zach said, one of the worst moments in the film, especially when it says, "I'm the spy." What the hell, man? Seriously, what the hell? Like,
there are cameras here.
It felt like something out of one of these one of these parody movies. Like, what the hell? It just really, yeah. As he said, it was going to be him. To be honest, I thought it was going to be Richard E. Grant because he was the new guy, and I thought maybe he'd be working on that. But then when the whole revelation came, and just how it was, the dialogue, because I want him to lose, everything felt wrong with that. But the worst part, I'm the spy. Like, see that was
I'm the spy.
That's gonna be a meme. That's gonna be a meme. That's a new Star Wars meme right there.
I'm taking a different route, but I think eventually I'll get to the same destination as you guys did. I like a lot of the idea behind Hux being a spy, because just before going to watch Rise of Skywalker, the night before, I rewatched for the first time actually Force Awakens and The Last Jedi back to back. It actually works marvelously, by the way. So I like a lot of Hux in this film being a spy. The problem, as you guys alluded to, there's nothing to him being the spy other than being obvious, because it's either him or Richard E. Grant, because the film starts and there's a spy. Okay, cool. And then there's no scenes like seeing the infrastructure of the First Order and how the officers create this tension between each other because there's a freaking spy. You see nothing of that. And as Zach alluded to, one of the worst lines in the movie, I don't want you guys to win, I just need Kylo Ren to lose. I actually like hearing that line out of his mouth. The thing is, that's a line that should never be spoken, because that's your motivation. That's the number one rule of screenplaying. It's show, don't tell. So when he says that line, 50% of me is like, okay, he made that sound really cool. But the other 50% of me is like, you don't say that. Who the fuck wrote that? Cut that out. And instead of just, okay, then you come with us because you have more information than you've provided thus far to us. No, he just shoot him, and then Richard E. Grant mercilessly kills him. And it's like Donald Gleason, one of the best actors working today, has this like very shameful ending to his character, an actually interesting character who was this subtle parody of a Nazi leader in the first one, and then he's just a comedic relief, very well utilized comedic relief, because if you see The Force Awakens, you only see his relationship towards inferior people to him, and then you have his relationship with Snoke. He's very fearful of Snoke, but he doesn't like Kylo Ren, who's like an equal to him, let's say. Then in The Last Jedi, he gets his ass kicked by Snoke, and then once Kylo Ren kills Snoke, he starts kicking his ass. And in this film, it's basically the same thing, but now he's the spy. So I think it's a very shameful ending to this character, unfortunately. I think we've said everything we have to say. Zach, you can show the picture one more time. All right, let's go to I won't say let's dive into this character right now, but let's dive into the reveal of this character, Finn. Finn is Force sensitive. What do we think about this?
I think it makes sense, honestly.
Yeah.
I think from Force Awakens you already feel it. I honestly think if JJ did this whole trilogy, he would have had his own lightsaber by the third film as well. And I actually think the coolest thing I will say about the future of Star Wars now is that even though we're not going to get episodic films, we all know we're going to see these characters in some capacity. Disney Plus, live action movies, spin whatever. We are going to see all these characters again. And I think that's cool that we're going to be able to explore these characters again. And again, they say we're not going to get any more episodes films. I call bullshit. 10 to 15 years, 10 to 20 years maybe, we're going to get more of them, and it's going to be these
Less
three
than
characters.
It's gonna be less than that.
I don't think so.
I
I
don't
think
think
it's
so.
I think they're gonna do spin-offs. I think they're gonna do this. I think they're gonna do this new trilogy that I was talking about. And I also want to say I want the Rian Johnson trilogy now. I
Oh.
want to see what his trilogy will be. And I've never been excited about it, but I am now excited because I still it's not happening. It's not happening.
It's gonna be called Lightsabers.
Yeah. But I thought the reveal of him being force sensitive was cool. And I actually think there was more to it. I wish they dove into it more. And again, it goes back to my one issue. Too fast a pacing, and this film should have either been way longer, should have been at least it could have been endgame level long.
Yes.
Could have been endgame level long.
I agree.
Or
Yeah.
you just bite the bullet and say, we have to do episode 10. Because honestly, what would be the issue of doing episode 10? You make more money in that part. And you could have filmed 9 and 10 back to back, just released one this year, one next year.
I don't disagree with that at all.
Mhm. No, I agree. There was definitely two. It felt like there was two films in one, two films crammed in one. You know, like yeah, and yeah, it definitely felt. As far as Finn being force sensitive, again, it just felt rushed because it was hinted at in The Force Awakens because a lot of people thought he was going to be the one with the lightsaber, and even though the twist was then it was Rey, but a lot of people were speculating, even before the film came out, everyone thought he's going to be the new Jedi and everything like that. So it was hinted that he does have certain things, even like how he left the First Order. You know, it was all because he felt something in that. But then in the Last Jedi, it wasn't explained. Nothing. He had no enough force moments or anything like that. And then suddenly again, they popped up. So yeah, you know, again, it just felt rushed. It needed more explanation. It needed more time. We needed, you know. But as he said, I reckon, yeah, if JJ had done the whole like Zach, he probably would have been another. I think there would have been an army of people with Jedi with lightsabers at the end. I think, which is another thing.
We'll get to that. We'll get to that.
Yeah, no, I'm with Zach on I'm with Zach on this. Finn being force sensitive is something that I've been wanting to see since Force Awakens. Of course, we didn't get it as much as we would have wanted. That once again, different directors, Rian Johnson putting that on the back seat, and then J.J. Abrams putting it in The Last Jedi, Rise of Skywalker. I enjoyed the amount that we got. It's just I wish we would have seen more because ultimately Finn could have been more. And from what we got in The Force Awakens, it was beautiful there, even though it wasn't a lot. And then what we got in Rise of Skywalker, it just was not enough. So it was rushed. I enjoyed the amount that we got, and I just wish we could have seen more. So that's about my thoughts on it.
I'm probably going to be the person who has the least to say about this. Even after watching it twice, I'm very indifferent to it. Finn, I think, honestly, I think it's the character who got the worst treatment out of every new character that we've got to know in this new trilogy. I love him in The Force Awakens. I like him in The Last Jedi, but I think what he had to do was unnecessarily long. Even though I love that movie, yeah, it's the worst part of that movie, and I love The Last Jedi, and I think here it's just okay. He's force sensitive. Cool. There's so little
It
to
felt
say
like
about him
this
in
whole
this
trilogy. This whole trilogy feels like they don't know what to do with him exactly. There's been a like Force Awakens had a good setup, and I think what Last Jedi did, and again, I don't like what he did. I don't like what they had him do in there. I honestly thought it was completely useless. I thought what his did pretty much just explored the world of Star Wars more than just his character.
Mm-hmm.
But Rise of Skywalker, again, the issue with the movie, and again, it goes back to the pacing, all that. They're so focused on plot. They're so fucking focused on the plot, not the characters. And again, that's why I'm excited for the future because we know we're gonna see more of Finn and Poe later on. We know we're gonna see more of them, and I think in those aspects, I can take what we have with here, and just that I get a standalone post something where I get to see Boyega get to actually do more like he had in Force Awakens. Because I thought coming out of Force Awakens, he was one of my favorite characters in that movie. Absolutely one of my favorite characters. And I again I wanted more from him. But this whole trilogy has really been, especially after The Last Jedi, it's really been focused on Kylo, Rey, and that's really it.
That's it.
And I think we can all argue that them two are the most interesting thing about this whole trilogy.
Yes. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, nor should it be an excuse for them to treat the character of Finn in the way they do throughout the whole trilogy. Because again, Force Awakens, he's great. Last Jedi, he's still a great character and goes through this really cool arc, but executed in a very poorly fashioned, exaggeratedly long, unnecessarily long. And then in this, it's just he's force sensitive.
Hey, can we also talk about the fact that Phasma in this entire trilogy was completely useless?
She's got a cool armor.
Don't remind me. One of my favorite characters from Game of Thrones was totally wasted, but yeah.
Okay, before we go to the creme de la creme, let's go to something that was presented in The Last Jedi, which is something, despite the divisiveness created by that film, I think it's something that, if not everyone, a lot of people really liked, and that is the new force powers that we discovered there, the connection between Kylo and Rey, and how it is further explored in this film. And well, I'm going to let you start, Ash, because you're really
I really don't like it. This. All right.
We don't like you.
Yeah.
You didn't like it in both movies, or didn't you just like it in this one?
I always had the trouble with it.
Okay.
It's something. As I said, it was something new and that, but it was okay when it was like small moments and they could see each other and maybe like. But when there's like the Darth Vader mask falls over there. But the worst part is the lightsaber at the end. Like really, without anything, she just puts it down, and then it comes in his hand. That scene was epic. I'm not saying that scene was epic because it was fantastic. It was brilliant. But I was rolling my eyes. I just really didn't like it. Like suddenly a lightsaber, like it's just magic, like boom, boom. I know that's what it is. The Force is supposed to be magic and all that. But the thing is where when Kylo can grab stuff out of her, like the beads, so he knows where she is. That's okay. It's okay because it leads to something. But that they have a connection, that they can just transfer stuff from one place to another, that I had a problem with, and I really was shaking my head. Obviously, as I said, the scene after it when he takes down the lights and like fighting in that was really fucking brilliant.
Yeah.
The transfer of the lightsaber to that. I just no. That's I really don't. I really
I thought that was badass.
I really hate
awesome.
Me too. Cody?
This is where I'm gonna disagree with Peschel again, because I'm definitely on the light side of the Force when it comes to this one. The way they use the transferring of objects, be it the Darth Vader mask to the lightsaber, I thought that was kind of cool. Like with everything that we've gotten in Star Wars, I thought that, I mean, it's not out of the realm of possibility. There is one aspect of the Force that I did not like in this movie, and we'll definitely get into that. However, the transferring of the objects I thought was fine. The way that Rey and Kylo Ren communicated in this movie, I liked better than how they did it in The Last Jedi, because Last Jedi to me just felt like a young adult novel adaptation BS, and with Rise of Skywalker, it felt like it was used more to its full potential. So in essence, I liked it. The way that Rey and Kylo Ren communicate, it's fine, I guess. There is one aspect, I'm sure we're gonna get to it, but I mean, and when it comes to that whole fight with Kylo Ren and the Knights of Ren at the end, I thought that was awesome. There is one thing I will say, is once again something that was rushed because the Knights of Ren, let's face it, they were exactly what were they? That's right, they were useless. We don't know anything about them.
They're action
Except-
figures. Fuck off.
It created a moment for an awesome action scene, but let's face it, Knights of Ren in this movie, they were useless. It's what it comes down to. They were absolutely useless, but that wasn't the question. So the way the Force was used between Kylo Ren and Rey in this movie, I didn't mind. How they transferred objects in this film, I thought was really great. I thought it was unique, and that's just it's good. I liked it.
Okay.
Zach.
Okay. Here's the thing. The Force is not a real fucking thing. So we can't fucking say anything about what's real, what's not, what Force powers are not. So
So
sorry.
he's trying to nullify you, Ash. That's what he's trying to do right now.
And I get, like, I've never understood people bitching about these Force powers. Because, and you know what, it's fine if you do. Like, that's, like, I get, like, you grew up and that's something that wasn't there, but, like, I've always taken it as, okay, it's something new, you know? Like, it's something new we're learning about. It's kind of like when you're growing up and you learn how babies come out. Like, it's different, you know? It's
Kind of
different than
like
what you
life.
expect. It's life, yeah. So I love that was one of my favorite things from The Last Jedi. That was one of my favorite parts about The Last Jedi. And to see, here's the thing, it looks like the way they made the script was, let's go to Reddit. Let's see what people liked and what people didn't. Okay, they really liked that Skype call thing that was between them. Let's put that in there. But they really hated how Luke threw his lightsaber over. So let's fucking put a line in there about that. Let's do this. Let's, you know, it truly looked like they looked at the fan base and said, "Oh man, we gotta do some stuff." And you know, whatever, they want to do that, fine by me. I don't care. But I thought this was one of the best parts about it. I love seeing these new Force abilities. The Force healing was cool. And even this, when she put it behind her back, I was like, fuck yeah. Fuck. And yeah, again, Knights of Ren, completely useless. I'm so glad I didn't buy any of the toys or Funko Pops before the movie came out. I still want a shirt of them because they look like the best boy band ever made. But
I was gonna say,
I
they
still
look like a heavy metal band.
Yeah,
Yes.
like
I still want the Funko
and-
Pops.
yeah, and were they completely useless? Yeah,
Yes.
but again, I could 100% see them an animated Disney Plus series of Knights of Ren. That's just the truth. And if we get more of that, that's cool. Is it annoying that they put it in a movie? Yeah, but people wanted to know what the Knights of Ren were. They didn't go into it, but they showed it. That's what happened. But I'm not arguing about that. I'm just I like this new Force abilities. I like when we see new Force abilities. And I think it makes sense for Star Wars because Star Wars is fantasy and it happened a long, long time ago in a galaxy far, far away that we're probably never ever going to end up going to. And yeah, so it's like Lord of the Rings. How's there a giant fucking birds everywhere? I can't tell you. That's not in real life. So
I absolutely loved it, and I love that they progressed it. It wasn't just they had the same limitations and they could only do a certain number of things as they did in The Last Jedi. One thing I noted is JJ cannot shoot this thing with the same gravitas as Ryan Johnson did, because when Ryan Johnson introduces this power is slow. It means something to the characters. In this film, it means something to them, but it's more cool than anything else. I love what he added with seeing the different locations. So like half of the time we see Rey's location and she's talking to Kylo Ren. The other half we see Kylo Ren's location and he's talking to Rey. I love that slowly but surely they start seeing that they can transfer things and they set up the thing with a lightsaber. It's really cool. And even Kylo Ren, when he gets the lightsaber and then he reveals it, and the Knights of Ren are like, "What the fuck?" He's like, "I wasn't sure this was going to work." And then he starts slashing the fools up. So I thought it was really well done. I thought it was really well progressed. And it's one of my favorite Force powers of all time. And as Zach said, I love finding out new Force powers. It's going to be boring the day we get to Star Wars Episode 100 and there's no new powers of the Force to find out about. That's when it's going to be boring. That's when people should complain.
And if you really think about it, Star Wars fan base is so unique. Force Awakens, it's too close to A New Hope. Last Jedi, completely different. Fuck you guys, I don't like Star Wars. What do you want from these movies? Like, for me, you know what's gonna happen when the next trilogy comes out? They're gonna shit on that one, and then they're gonna respect this one. It's the endless cycle of Star Wars fans. That's just the truth.
To me, the biggest one, the biggest problem is when people say the prequels are better. You have to be high on very good track to say that the prequels are better. The Phantom Menace, every line of dialogue in the Phantom Menace is literally saying what is happening and what is going to happen. Nobody has a personality trait besides Jar Jar Binks. Jar Jar Binks, as shit of a character as he is written in such a way where he is the one character in that movie that is important to the story. That
Can I just say, this is a real life Jar Jar Binks. And you guys,
I cannot wait.
Me and Ren are the have seen Uncut Gems, but it's 100% the truth. But Adam Sandler should have been Jar Jar Binks.
Yes, I agree. Not Adam Sandler.
I
That
can't wait.
character played by Adam Sandler should have been Jar Jar Binks.
Now, what about Attack of the Clones?
No.
That's still the worst.
That's another spoiler discussion for another time.
Me and Ren already have a fucking review about Attack of the Clones.
We do. I'll leave a playlist at the end of this video. Okay, now that we mentioned the connection between our two main leads, let's go to this little baby right here. And if you guys don't mind, I'm going to start because I have a lot of things to say.
Yeah, start. I mean, your name's Ren, so.
As you guys know, this is a very close subject to me. This is very personal, and they did me dirty. They did me very dirty in this film. Okay, so from the get-go in this film, he's the one who finds the Wayfinder. He's the one who finds Palpatine. He's the one who goes after Rey after Palpatine says that he has to kill her, even though Palpatine after that says he didn't want to kill her. So why do you tell Palpatine to kill her? But he doesn't want to kill her. He tells her that she's going to join him. Up until that part, all is good. From the moment they are having a genuinely awesome fight at the top of the Death Star wreckage, and Leia communicates with him, Ben. And I was almost pissed off that they killed Kylo Ren midway through the movie. But then Rey cures him. And I'm like, okay, that's cool. What's going to happen? And then Finn and Poe go back. They find out Leia is dead. Spoilers again. And we go back to Kylo Ren. And we have an awesome cameo by Harrison Ford, genuinely giving another great performance like he did in The Force Awakens, recreating that moment in the bridge.
If he retires any day now, he announces it, it's because they paid him a lot of money.
Yeah,
I bet you they did.
Yeah.
And he has this heart-to-heart conversation, which I genuinely love this conversation because it's basically the same conversation, but now stuff means different things. But all he has to do is say, Dad, and then he's redeemed. That's what it takes. It's saying, Dad, I love you. He says, I know. I love the new meaning to that I know. And he's redeemed. That's it. He's Ben Swallow now. And now all you have to do to cosplay as this character is get some black trousers, some black long sleeve t-shirt, cut a hole in here, and there you go. It's a cosplay. And I'm not done yet. All these
Ren's
movies,
gonna be angry.
All these movies did up until now. Force Awakens, Last Jedi, and even this movie from the very beginning is say that they are a genuine item. Rey and Kylo Ren are a dyad in the Force. They complete each other with their power. They need each other to be strong. What does Palpatine do with Kylo Ren? He throws him off and he's defeated by Rey and Rey alone. What part of Diane in the Force that this movie, writing itself, didn't get. He has so little to do in the final battle in this film. I think it's disrespectful not only to what JJ is doing here. JJ is like giving a middle finger to himself, to Ryan Johnson, and to his past self that did The Force Awakens. Now I'm done. Please.
Okay.
I thought you liked
okay.
the movie. Ren, I thought you liked the
Yeah.
movie, though.
I like the movie, but they did me dirty. They did me really dirty.
Okay. That was the best scene in the whole fucking movie. It's the only quiet moment in the whole movie that took its time and it said, hey, we're going to do this. Again, a lot of the issue that comes down to this movie is I liked every answer, every reveal, every single thing about that, except the fucking kiss. I'm just going to say that. I hated the fucking kiss. We'll get to why. And I'll get to why I didn't like the kiss. But I loved every reveal, twist, turn, everything in this movie. Just didn't feel earned. It felt like Game of Thrones Season 8, where we're just going to rush through everything, give you all the things that were supposed to be. And then that's why this movie should have been 2 movies. Because we have known, I mean, Jay has said, and they even interviewed Adam Driver a couple days ago. He said, I knew from The Force Awakens that I was going to get to that point and be good. And I think we all knew that. And no. And listen to me right now. I'm going to get completely shit on this. Kylo Ren is the most interesting, complicated, and also the best Star Wars villain ever created. Even over Darth Vader. I'm sorry,
He's my favorite character.
Iconic characters in cinema, but Kylo Ren is the most interesting, complicated, and in general, most intriguing character ever in Star Wars. Because in general, a lot of it goes back to Adam Driver's performance. If they had anyone that was like Hayden Christensen, wouldn't have worked 100%. But Adam Driver is top 5 actors working today, and that is why this character works so well. The reason that this twist and him going worked for me wasn't because of the dialogue, wasn't because of that whole instance, because of the mannerisms in his face. His facial expressions in that whole entire moment were some of the most emotional stuff inside this movie. And again, why it made it for one of the best moments. And again, seeing Han Solo come back, I and it works. And am I fan talking and speaking out of my asshole right now? Absolutely. But so then, yes, he turns, he twists, he throws his lightsaber. Fucking cool. Awesome. I'm excited about that. Whatever. He's back on the light side. Awesome. Guess what? He has only one line of dialogue after that whole movie, and it's him saying, ouch. That's when it got dumb. And then let's get to the kiss. I didn't mind Rey taking out Palpatine. I didn't mind that. I didn't mind him getting thrown. I liked kind of everything in that whole final sequence. Is it a little bit underwhelming? Like, could that last final sequence been way better? Yeah, it could have been like Dual Fates type shit. Palpatine pulls his lightsaber out, they pull their lightsabers out. You could have had some real cool shit in that part. Let's all be honest in that part. But I think JJ was trying to go for a very subtle moment in this whole part. And for the whole pacing of the film to feel very rushed, it feels weird to kind of get to these slow moments towards the third act, which I didn't mind. I actually thought the film got better as it went on. From the first to the third act, this film got way stronger as it went on. And especially because the first act is a lot of catch-up. Let's play catch-up to get past the Last Jedi stuff. This is where I get to that fucking kiss. I'm just gonna when I saw it in a press screening, some lady yelled all the way over, yeah, like cheering. I'm sitting in my seat. As it happens, I said, that's fucking stupid, out loud. And then I saw it in a sold out crowd, and people were cheering, except me. It's still the one thing that bothers me. And you know what? I don't mind that they kissed. I mind that he died, because it undermines why did they kiss. It was literally, it's like Disney said, you have to make them kiss because everyone wants to see them kiss. I believe that they had relationship. I love their relationship they've had together throughout the movies, especially within Last Jedi. I think it built it up very nicely, especially in this one. It just comes down to, why did you kill him off then? It made, I get for the story, but in that manner, if you're going to have them kiss, why kill them off? Because what did it do for that moment? It just checkboxed a fan fiction thing. That's really what it did. So, I'm done.
Let me just add something to the kiss. I hated the kiss as well. I never wanted them to kiss. The relationship was never on that on that on that side of what a relationship is. And I saw it for the first time on the very first public screening available, because the press screening on the same day, I wasn't going to travel just catch the movie, because I was going to catch it on the same day. There was silence when they kissed, and I was the one person in the theater going, "Boo!" So that was my reaction, and I actually like that he died. I think whether he was redeemed or not, I think that's the ending this arc leads to. And they didn't betray that, and I really like that. And again, seeing a little bit of positive in the negative, I like that if this is what we got, if they are going to kiss, I'm just glad the kiss came from Rey and not from him.
That kiss. Is it, let's see here, is it quite possibly the most awkward kiss I've ever seen in Star Wars?
No.
Possibly.
The Rose and Finn one is still the worst.
Rose and Finn.
No, I'm gonna tell you right now. For me personally, it's not as bad as the Rose and Finn kiss, but it's just under.
Actually,
I mean,
the
it was.
That's ever happened is when I kissed my pillow. So
I mean,
I don't know. Visually, I think it's a good kiss. I just don't think the relationship was there.
No.
Yeah, no. Here's the thing. Everything that we've gotten from Force Awakens to now, I never wanted Kylo Ren and Rey to be together. And nothing in my mind ever set up that relationship. Look, the kiss, awkward. If they had embraced each other, if they had hugged and then he fell back down on the ground and just did what he did and disappeared, that in my mind would have worked 10 times better. But the fact of the matter is I didn't really have a problem with Kylo Ren being thrown down the wall, being thrown down that little well. I didn't have a problem with pretty much everything that Zach said up to this point. I completely agree with when it comes to that last scene. Some of the best moments for me were in that last scene. The action was great. Just some of the, and I'm not gonna lie, I am a sucker for nostalgia and just fan service. So a lot of the stuff that happened in that last scene really worked for me. But at the same time, I think Zach's right. I mean, with that kiss and then having Kylo Ren disappear, not only was it super awkward, but it really undermines everything that kind of came before when it came to those two.
And that's why I said, now if the next Rey adventure has him as a Force ghost, you could work with that. But it's for the meaning, and I get it. It's kind of hard. What's she gonna do? Bring him back and be like, "Oh, look at my new hubby who murdered billions of people, destroyed tons of planets." I mean, it's tough, and I get they were trying to go for a Darth Vader die type shit stuff. But why kiss? Yeah. It's straight up, that was a fan fiction thing. And does it ruin the movie for me? No. I mean, no. It's one moment. How many moments in Star Wars could I say ruined Star Wars for me? I could
every moment with Anakin and Padme.
I could literally think of 10 worse moments. I could think of 10 worse moments in that moment. But yeah, so
the entirety of Attack of the Clones.
Yeah, Pesh, tell us what
what do you think, Peschel?
No, well, the kiss was ridiculous. I didn't like it at all. that was, and what I believe is basically if they kissed, he should have stayed alive. If he's gonna die, he shouldn't have kissed. Basically,
they should have hugged. Like Cody said, hug and embrace something.
If
he should have died on her shoulder, while they're hugging, and he just dies.
Yeah, something like that. Since they kissed, he should have stayed alive because it would have. He's trying to redeem himself and all that. I agree with Ren. I thought it was stupid that Rey faced Palpatine alone. I would have much preferred them both to fight him. I thought that would have been much a better scene, and it would have been as they said the balance before. They're all together and not just she takes over all the powers of all the Jedi and everything. Blah blah blah. One thing I did like when he became Ben was so cool seeing him with a blaster like Han, even
it's the blaster that Lando gave Yeah, so it was a nice little moment in there.
Yeah, and I like it, like shooting over his shoulders and all that. So that was really cool. You can tell he was like mimicking Han Solo. He sort of had the moves and all that. So I did like that. But again, as I said, at the end, I agree with Ren. They definitely should have been both of him taken over there. But if we're going to mention the last bit, I have to mention one thing I really, really hated about this film was fucking Palpatine's electric powers that he can take out fucking fleet.
Oh, that was awesome.
That was so cool. I love that. I loved it so much.
I thought it was awesome too, but I know what Ash means.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. Because I'm like, why didn't he do that in any of the other movies?
What?
It seemed like they were going for a moment from Last Jedi when Holdo took the maneuver and destroyed all the ships. It looks like they were going for a moment in that, and I get it. I just went with it. At that point, I was just going with the movie. You know?
And also, why the fuck do you need the Star Destroyers then?
Just do it. Just fuck. Look like Shazam.
Because you can't destroy planets with just lightning, guys. You gotta have an entire fleet with Death Star tech.
No, I thought that was one of the biggest things that really hated it. Like the Force powers were so overpowered. Like it was like level 99 facing off like all these ships just.
Okay.
Scene is cool. The scene is cool, as you said, even the effects and the whole how it was. But I was thinking, how the hell, suddenly he has all these powers and then he can't take down Rey.
Technically he killed himself in that part.
Yeah.
I mean, can we mention something here? The fact that every powerful moment where a character should have died in this movie, they didn't.
Yeah.
Like, here's the thing. If Chewbacca had died in this movie, would a lot of people be upset?
Okay.
Yes. Would a lot of people be upset? Oh, go for it, Zach.
So that's why I was going to say that's another good point to bring up. If we're going into something that, again, I guess a nitpick I have, and it's crazy because I actually really like this movie, but the nitpick I have was they killed Chewbacca off. Holy shit. And no, wait, he's back. And they erased C-3PO's memory. And then it's back. They killed Ben Solo. And then he's back.
Oh, wait, and they did, with Ben Solo, they did that 3 times during the course of the movie.
Oh, they killed Rey? She's back. There are many moments in this movie where it said, we don't want to piss people off too much. I think, okay, the Chewbacca one, fine, whatever. We all knew he didn't die. We knew it.
I was fooled. When the ship exploded, I was like, oh, fuck you, JJ, really? And I was pissed for the next 5 minutes.
The one that I went with, I was like, they should have kept with C-3PO. Yeah. Because it would have tied back into Revenge of the Sith and all that.
Yeah,
I agree with that.
I thought that was dumb that they put... I get why, because then some people would be pissed, but at the same time, I was like, okay, like, you have to make sacrifices. That's why, again, this is not, for me, Endgame. Endgame made sacrifices.
Yes.
And I have many nitpicks with Endgame. Just like I have with Rise of Skywalker. This didn't feel like the end of a saga. It felt like the beginning of a new hope. Which is weird to say that, and maybe that's what JJ was going for. For us to feel like this is the beginning of a new hope. But also Endgame, while feeling like the end of this, it felt like a great new... Well, it felt like a great new beginning for the future of Marvel as well. Mm-hmm. And I felt like Star Wars went more for the New Hope situation than the Endgame situation. Because even though it's the end of the Skywalker saga, did it really tie up many questions throughout the Skywalker saga? I mean, it tied up its main questions, and it tied up small things here and there. But I am with you, Cody. I did think it was a little too much of kill him, come back, kill him, come back. It's you either do it or you don't. And it's those fake out deaths that by the time that Kylo Ren died, I wasn't that emotionally enveloped. And when Princess Leia passed away, I was upset because it's Carrie Fisher. That's more why I was upset than in the moment of what was going on.
Yeah, no. And for me personally, I look at the entirety of this new trilogy, and whenever characters died up until Leia, I shouldn't say that. I should say Last Jedi moving forward, because the way they handled Han Solo's death in The Force Awakens was just brilliant. I loved how everything was handled. But Last Jedi moving forward, to me, it never really felt like when they were trying to portray death or show characters of consequence dying, that it hit the way that it should. For instance, Snoke dying. I mean, when it was there, it was shocking for a lot of people. It was very divisive. Didn't really care all that much because we didn't know that much about Snoke. Hux in this movie dying. Did not really care all that much because the way they wrote this was just so quick.
I was waiting for him to come back.
I mean, Chewbacca dies, comes right back. C-3PO, memory erased, comes right back. And then Kylo Ren dies about 3 to 4 different times in this movie. And then he finally dies at the very end of the film. So I had no emotional attachment there. And then with Leia, yeah, you're emotionally attached because it's Carrie Fisher and we all love Carrie Fisher. But when she passed away, it's like, that's the only reason why you care. And so it just felt like, at the end of the day, for me, it just felt like there was no weight on anything anymore. Like with Endgame, with everything that we got, you look at Endgame, you look at Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows, it's like those films at the end of franchises, they had these monstrously big consequences that rippled through the audience, and you felt the pain, you felt that weight. With Rise of Skywalker, for me, at the end of the day, I was happy to see some characters were still alive and how they decided to wrap it up, but it was so rushed that I just didn't feel anything after the entire almost 2.5 hour runtime. I didn't feel anything. And I feel as though that's a bad situation to be leaving us with, because although it's not the end of Star Wars, it is the end of the Skywalker saga. And we as an audience, for me personally, I just felt like, although there was a lot of people who enjoyed it and there are a lot of people who are okay with it and a lot of people who just downright hate it, I think we all deserved better and we deserved something more.
Can I just say something about this? Now, you guys talked on the emotional things. Throughout this film, now, and I said this in the thing, I got more emotional leading up to this film in the trailer. When I saw the words, the saga's going to end, I was nearly in fucking tears when I was watching the trailer, the first trailer for this, because I felt something. In the film, I got only one little moment where I actually nearly is when I saw Chewbacca cry because he found out Princess Leia had died.
Yeah, that was great.
That was the only time in this whole film where I was fucking out, because you can see all his friends are gone, and that's it basically.
Besides the opening crawl, that's the main part that gave me tears, goosebumps, all that. And then as it intersided through the whole thing with Han Solo and how it all tied in, it just started building up through there. But by the end, I wasn't in tears. As say with Force Awakens, I was fucking crying through the whole entire thing because Star Wars was back. And I still think that, like, we're in an era where it's so cool how much Star Wars content we're getting.
Yes.
Yeah.
Years ago, there was such a drag of none of it. And I think that's something that us as Star Wars fans need to just accept and be happy with. Because, again, honestly, the perfect Star Wars film is Empire Strikes Back.
No, Return of the Jedi.
Okay.
I'm very in the minority.
Let's put it this way: the original trilogy is the perfect Star Wars movie.
It's the perfect saga. It's the perfect saga. And then the next best saga, and I did a whole ranking video on this, is the prequels. They are no. As a story structure, they are cohesive and they flow through a narrative. Out of all the trilogies, they are the best and most planned out trilogy out of all of them. The sequel trilogy, I would argue, Last Jedi is the second best made Star Wars film. Or, sorry, not Star Wars film. Best made film. That is the second best made film. Is it a great Star Wars film? I don't think so. I think it's missing out on some aspects of it. But I think as a movie, that movie is near perfect.
Yeah.
Even though Force Awakens is my second favorite Star Wars film, so fuck off, everyone. It's just, this movie, it does a lot. And I think there's one thing that we haven't talked about yet, Ren.
Yeah, we got one major last point, or at least one last major character to get to before general thoughts or final thoughts, and that is Rey. And if you guys don't mind, I'm going to start on this one again. I love this character. Unlike Finn, I think this character, like Kylo Ren for the most part, although he wasn't as much, But Rey, throughout this entire trilogy, I love this character. I love what they did with her. As I said in the beginning, I think the fact that she's Palpatine's granddaughter doesn't mean that she's not a nobody, which is why I'm going into one other thing that pisses me off in this movie.
I thought you liked the movie.
I like the movie. I like the movie, but just
Feels like I'm the one defending all this.
No, I like the movie, and I like
I
99.9% of what they did with Rey in this film, except this one thing. She is Palpatine's granddaughter. She's a nobody. She has been alone throughout her life. She has finally found a home and people who accept her in the Force, in Luke Skywalker and Leia, which is why in a movie that is filled with awesome fan service that I love to death, that gave me a stiffy throughout this entire film.
He still has one right now.
It's true.
Oh gosh, dang it.
Which is why it pisses me off when Palpatine says, "I am all the Sith," and Rey says, "I am all the Jedi." Why the fuck? To show that truly she is not alone, but Palpatine is. When she says, "I am all the Jedi," that's when all the fucking Force Ghosts show up behind her after telling her to rise up, and she has a whole family with her. Qui-Gon Jinn, Mace Windu, Ahsoka Tano, Kanan Jarrus, Ezra Bridger, Anakin Skywalker, Luke Skywalker, and Leia Skywalker. Everyone shows up behind her, and everyone, not Rey alone, defeat Palpatine once and for all in a movie where there's Wedge freaking Antilles who said he was never going to do a Star Wars movie again, where Lando shows up just because it's cool that he shows up, and I don't like it one bit. Why the fuck don't we have that moment?
Damn. Now
And
I
that's
really want
the only moment I.
Oh wow.
Yeah, that.
It makes
So-
so sense narratively, thematically, the things that they were saying with this film. It makes absolutely every sense in the world for that to happen, and yet it doesn't. But I love
will be
what they do
honest,
with Rey in this movie.
I was waiting for all their Force Ghosts to show up. I'm not just them, all of them, because so when it gets, I'll kind of revert back, but starting on the voice part when all the voices are coming up, dude, hearing all those voices,
Yes.
great.
Yeah, cool.
Very sad to hear that Ahsoka died though, because if you've watched Rebels, you know where she's at.
Yeah.
Very sad to hear she died.
I mean, but it makes sense. It could be a
Makes
bold
sense.
age.
It's been like 35 years, 40 years, or whatever. You know what I mean?
But you don't hear Ezra. That was.
You don't
curious.
hear Ezra. That is true.
Don't
But
hear Ezra.
also maybe he never became a Jedi Knight.
True.
That's something. So because all of them are pretty much high tier Jedi Knights at this point who are saying it. But for me, when it's going through the voices, I was playing in my head. Okay, that's Alec Guinness. Okay, that's Ian McGregor's Obi-Wan. Oh, that's Anakin. Then I heard Mace. That's Mace Windu.
Oh, when I heard Kanan, I was like, "What the fuck, Kanan?"
When I heard Kanan and Ahsoka, I freaked the fuck out. I flipped out. And then they had the other two girl Jedi Knights from the prequel.
Tia Sakura, and I don't remember the other one.
Yeah, awesome little moments in there. I was waiting for the Force Ghost, and honestly, the part I was waiting it for on was the very ending on Tatooine. When they were on Tatooine, and she looks back, I thought I at least thought we were gonna see Anakin as well.
I don't think they all should have showed up there, but I thought in Tatooine it could have been Leia, Luke, Anakin, and Ben.
Yes, Ben.
Exactly, 100%. Those should have been the ones that were in it. And honestly, I know some people had issues with like the Han Solo thing and how but Han Solo is Force sensitive as well. Like, again, you don't say it through the movies, but there is stuff through the books where it does discuss that he is very much Force sensitive right now.
But they even say it. That's not a ghost. That's his memory.
That's his memory. So I did like how that whole thing. But for me, again, it was a missed moment to not have Hayden Christensen as Anakin Skywalker. Now, if George Lucas was making this movie, the damn special edition will have fucking Anakin Skywalker. But I thought that whole moment was beautiful, and the way, and again, just loved it. Loved all the voices. It really was music to my ears in that whole moment. But her as a Palpatine, I dug it. I dug it. Was it what I thought was gonna happen? I thought she was gonna be a clone in some way. Didn't happen that way.
Me too.
but I thought her as Palpatine, when you look back on the whole trilogy, again, I 100% still believe that JJ had an idea and vision. I believe that he always wanted Palpatine from the beginning. I will still contend to that. I think I think Snoke was always going to be a decoy, and I think honestly the original concept is obviously we see Snoke was cloned versions of Palpatine in a sense. They're just deteriorated, fucked up versions of Snoke.
Voiced
so how do
by
we know that?
Circus.
Yeah, and how do we know that Palpatine wasn't in those bodies? I mean, he was in those bodies, but you know what I mean? Like, how do we know that wasn't another version of Palpatine just deteriorated because the cloning wasn't perfect? I mean, he's living in a fucking his mother's basement pretty much. So, that
I mean, his mother's basement must be in Naboo, not Exegol.
yeah. So I didn't mind the reveal of her being a Palpatine, and I actually really love that she took the Skywalker name.
Me too.
Loved it. Now, some people were saying, well, I would have liked to see Palpatine and her say Rey Palpatine, that she wants to make that name better. I can get that. I wouldn't have mind that either. But the fact that it's Skywalker, it's Star Wars, it brings it in perfectly for that manner.
Yeah.
And when she buries the lightsabers, I loved it. It was very symbolic. Again, all these quiet moments were some of the best parts about the whole movie.
Yes.
And I think that's what would have made the movie stronger. But when she flips her fucking lightsaber on, fucking screamed. Now,
it's yellow!
I 100% still believe that it is a dual-bladed lightsaber. The bottom's open. The bottom's open.
But that's because she cut it from the big stack. I don't know. I'm not going to say no, but I'm not going to say yes.
Yeah, but I the only reason I also go is because her dark version of her was a double-bladed.
Yeah.
So why wouldn't hers be? So I like that whole moment. I love the last shot. It's very, again, nostalgia. Some people were shitting on it. But how do you think this trilogy was going to end? It was going to end on a shot like this.
It's poetry. It rhymes again and again.
Yeah. So, I loved everything with Rey. Again, she's one of the most... And I think with Star Wars nowadays, the cool thing with these new ones and being very much with modern storytelling and everything is that when you get to when you look at a lot of characters in Star Wars, there's not a lot of deep diving discussions and deep dive thoughts into them. And I thought what Last Jedi did with Luke, even though you might disagree with what they did with his character, I thought it was very interesting that they took this character and did something different. And Rey and Kylo still remain, if you look at like top 5 most interesting Star Wars characters ever, I mean, it's Kylo, it's Rey. You probably throw Luke in there now.
Oh,
you also, I would throw Ahsoka Tano in there, and then probably Anakin Skywalker because of the Clone Wars and everything in there. So, this film might not have hit everything that I wanted it to hit, but as a conclusion, as much as I was entertained, I was enjoying it. I love this last revelation. I had a lot of fun with the Star Wars saga, and I'm just excited for the future of Star Wars. Yeah. And Baby Yoda.
Baby Yoda.
Ash?
I didn't really mind Rey in this film. I thought, again, her character was probably one of the best, as you said. Her and Kylo Ren were the best 2 characters in the whole trilogy. I thought, again, her force powers were a bit OP at certain times, but it's explained because she is Palpatine's daughter, so she's more powerful. However, one question: do you guys actually think that JJ always meant her to be Palpatine's daughter, or was this the things that they arranged?
I don't know if he always meant for her to be his granddaughter, but I think he always meant for her to be related to him in some way, whether a clone or a descendant in another manner. I don't know, but I think the ultimate end game was always going to be Palpatine's connected to Rey.
The final scene, I agree. But I will say one thing. I actually got fucking goosebumps now listening to Ren describe all those fucking Force ghosts. I really want that.
You have a stiffy.
Yes, right now. Seriously. No, that's fucking. That would have been fucking Endgame, like Avengers Assemble. Fucking,
yeah.
I would have lost my shit if that happened. Why didn't they? They should hire you next time. Fuck this shit. Seriously, that is just. Yeah,
if Dave Filoni made the movie, if Dave Filoni would have made the movie, it would have been in there.
Yeah.
But it also would have been a cartoon.
Yeah. I mean, it kind of was a cartoon.
Yeah. No, but everything else, the ending was okay and that. But again, the problem I had with the whole film. I just didn't get emotionally attached to the film. Even when the ending, I was like, okay, it was a nice shot and everything, but I just didn't feel the connection to it, and that's something I can't explain. I said I've watched it twice. I did enjoy it a bit more the second time, but still, I just can't find, like with the Endgame. With Endgame, I was like, even now when I go watch it, I get goosebumps every time, and here, But again, that scene definitely should have been in the film, and yeah, that's all I got about Ray. Just OP, too OP sometimes, but yeah.
Cody?
Me, if there's one thing that this talk has taught me is I still don't think that I like the Rise of Skywalker as much as you and Zach do.
Okay.
Ren.
Are you sure Ren likes it?
However, however, I will say, I think that what this discussion has done is shown me just, even though I can't say that I 100% love the film, I can't 100% say that I think it is a great movie. It's definitely not a great Star Wars movie. There is enough in there for me to say that I probably enjoyed it, and I need to go see it again. That's what this discussion has done for me.
A second viewing helps the movie. I really do.
Yeah,
think.
it does.
I think it takes your expectations out. You go see it, you like it more.
What I will say is that last shot, like the whole last scene on Tatooine, it's probably, besides the Han Solo and Ben scene, it's probably my favorite scene in the entire movie, because it's just, it brings it all home to where everything started, and we get one last shot. I mean, it was just beautifully, beautifully, beautifully done. The one thing that I can say that I was very disappointed about is the fact that we didn't see Anakin or Ben there in any capacity. Like, that's the one disappointment I have with that scene, is I wish we would have seen them. But overall, when it comes to The Last Jedi, I still have lots of problems with it. But as I said, the amount of things that I really, really did not like when it came to the movie, there was probably just about as much as I liked when it came to the movie. So at the end of the day, I guess I'm on neutral ground now. So Rise of Skywalker, there's a lot of really good stuff in it. There's a ton of really, really terrible, not well done stuff in it. And all of it comes back to the fact that they rushed the darn movie and script.
He had, he had 6 to 8 months less time of prep on this movie than Last Jedi.
Yeah.
So there's that.
Yeah. All right. Zach is like in the nick of time to make it work, so we're going to go into final thoughts, and we're going to start with Zach. Go ahead.
All right. So here's the thing: Star Wars: Rise of Skywalker Episode 9 is a good movie. There's no doubt about that. I really like this movie. I really like my experience with this movie, but in general, I take the good, the bad, and the ugly of Star Wars. I will always say that. I want a damn shirt that says I take the good, the bad, and the ugly of Star Wars. I think if you are a true Star Wars fan, you should just like Star Wars. You should like this content. And you might be frustrated with some things many times, because trust me, almost every single Star Wars movie frustrates me in some different way. And there are many different things we would change, but it's a gift being given to us in that nature. And should we want more? Yeah, we're fucking fans. We're fucking geeks. We're always gonna want fucking more. I can tell you this, Endgame, I wanted a lot fucking more from it. And I still really liked it. Any movie I see, especially when it comes to geeky stuff, I'm always gonna have, man, if you would have tinkered this, if you would have tinkered that. And I'm sure JJ is sitting at home watching the movie, he's like, fuck, I would change so much. I would add this, I'd add that. He's gonna watch this and be like, why didn't I think about the Force Ghost?
I'm sure I'm not alone in this. As someone who made films, that 100% happens all the time.
Yeah. And it just stuff like that happens. The coolest thing now is we can move forward. We can expand on these characters. We can expand on this world. We can expand on Star Wars, and we should be supporting it for what that is. The Mandalorian, I have a lot of grievances with that show, but I still really fucking like it. You go into Star Wars Clone Wars, that show. There's a lot of fucking issues with that show, but I'm so excited for the final season. Star Wars Rebels, how many times was there a fucking whale in that show? Tons of space whales. But I still really like that show. no matter what it is Star Wars, I'm always going to like it. And when you look at this whole trilogy, I saw this tweet and I wanted to bring it up. It says, what this trilogy is about is you create your own path regardless of the destiny laid before you. No matter who you are or what lineage you come from, it doesn't matter. You form your own destiny, and I like what this trilogy has to say about that. May that not have been the cast and crew's idea? Absolutely not. But I still really like this movie. I have tons of nitpicks. I can bitch about everything. But it's Star Wars. I love it. I love Star Wars. Fucking give me it all. I'll buy every fucking toy. Disney, I don't care what you do. Just for the future of Star Wars, have a fucking plan. Have a plan. And I really think from now on, Dave Filoni and Favreau, I would bet money they are going to be in charge of Lucasfilm by the end of 2022.
Oh, wow. Those are some big words.
Yes.
Ash?
For my part, as you know, I didn't hate. I'm not one of the person who I hated the film. I didn't love the film. It was an okay film. On the second viewing, my joy for it improved a lot. I liked it a bit more. I still think there's lots and lots of issues. The biggest one, as I said, I didn't have that many emotional moments, barring the Chewbacca scene. I wanted to feel more. You know, it's the end of a saga. I've been watching this since I was a very, very kid. You know, because I actually watched. No, it just came out, Return of the Jedi. So that's how I'm old, way older than you. So I just wanted more as an end of the saga, and I felt it kind of felt like Game of Thrones season 8. Maybe I had too many high hopes for it. Maybe I wanted more. Overall, it's a fun film. I'm definitely going to watch it again. I will watch it much more than The Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones, and Revenge of the Sith, definitely, because barring Revenge of the Sith, the other two I really can't rewatch. I've tried, and I just end up fast forwarding them. So yeah, it's an okay film. As I said, it probably will improve every time I watch it. The effects are fantastic. The cast are brilliant. It just has some things which I really can't accept. Maybe because I'm too old, or my mind is too closed on the Force powers and all that. But yeah, it's an okay film. I'm gonna watch it again. I'm gonna buy it when it comes out. So yeah, that's it.
Cody?
Yeah, Star Wars is in a. I mean, I don't want to bring out the negativity here, but all I'll say is that Star Wars, in terms of where we are now, comparatively to.
I fucking knew it.
Comparatively to where we are, Star Wars is.
He's gonna leave for work, and he's just gonna leave the picture there.
I think somehow it's getting closer.
It is.
Just Adam Sandler's freaking smile. But Star Wars is in a very different spot now than it was 20 years ago. And oh my gosh, what is that?
Just give your final thoughts. Don't worry about it.
Okay. But Star Wars is an amazing thing. Star Wars is something that should bring people together. It really is. And Rise of Skywalker, although I have a lot of issues with the film, I realize I need to go see it again because I realize that I will probably get more enjoyment out of it if I go to see it a second time. So those are my final thoughts. This has been an absolute blast. Ren!
All right. Star Wars to me, from the moment I saw the original trilogy for the first time, it's always been the epitome of what movie magic means to me. It is the movie that if I ever become a director, I never want to touch these movies. I never want to be a part of it. And this is a movie with a lot of flaws. This is a movie I didn't outright love. It's a movie that I have a ton of grievances with. As Zach continuously questioned throughout this film, did I like this movie? Yes, I did. I didn't get a lot into that final scene. I absolutely adore that final scene. I had a smile on my face. I finished this saga, with a smile on my face because of that last scene, because that is everything Star Wars ever is gonna be, or ever was. And I'm always going to be happy with that. I'm always going to be happy watching this saga and seeing it ending in that moment despite the other problems that this film has. And I'm just glad if not a great one, I'm happy we have a good ending to the saga. Again, despite all its problems. I want to thank all of you so much for being here, and let the people know where they can find you, starting with Zach, who's got to get off to work.
So you guys can find me at Zach Pope. Just type that up on YouTube. I talk movies, geeky content, all sorts of stuff, and I will talk about Star Wars anytime you want to. And if you want to leave me a comment saying "fuck you" or some shit, that's cool. I get those every day too. Thank you so much, Ren, for having me. I don't really care if I'm late to work at this point because I just love talking Star Wars, and this was a great way for me to finally talk spoilers. Because I've only talked about it with a couple people, but now hearing different opinions, I still feel the fucking same. So nice meeting you guys. Nice talking with you guys. And yeah, so may the force be with us.
Ash?
Yeah, you can find me on YouTube on the Peschel Talks. Same as Zach, I do movie reviews, trailer reactions, lots of trailer reactions because they're easy to do. And yeah, come check me out. I love Star Wars. I also do loads of other stuff like TV reviews, Magic the Gathering, because I'm useless at that game, but I love it. Yeah, that's it. Just find me Peschel Talks wherever you want. And may the force be with you. Because I've got to say that.
And Cody, this is not just for the people, but also for us, because I have to legitimately ask.
Well, that's going to be an interesting answer because many people may not know, I am no longer on social media. I got off of that really, really poisonous monster about the beginning of September, and honestly, my YouTube channel is up, and if you have a YouTube account, luckily, this system officially has the ability to send messages. So if you want to get in contact with me, that's going to be the best option for the moment. And if you contact me, I'm not giving you people my phone number or my Gmail account. If you want that stuff, you got to message me personally or talk to Zach. But my YouTube channel is still up, so if you guys want to come and support my channel, even though I'm not really on there anymore, go for it, because that channel, it was a lot of fun to have, and Zach and I actually have a lot of good content on there right now.
Yes, they do. Again, thank you all so much for being here. Thank you all so much for watching this video. I'll be back soon, and so will these gentlemen on their channels, except for Cody. I don't know, maybe he will. He will surprise us. And so until then, I'm going to once more honor the mask and what this character represented.
Oh, gosh.
Can
I kiss
May the
him?
Force.
Look at that handsome man.
You were going to say something, Zach?
I say, can I kiss you? Just like Ray did.
It's getting kind of hot in there. Once more, may the Force be with you all.